So now that you thought about the vision and the why, let's talk about how you're going to get there. What is your roadmap? What is your plan? Obviously, this is a yoga course. Therefore, our plan is all about using yoga as a way for you to get there. So what you have right now after 2 weeks is a yoga routine, a yoga sequence that takes about 30 to 35 minutes to complete. It includes a number of postures, standing, back bends, forward folds, inversions, and so on. And it has a basic breathing and meditation routines or exercises built into it. So this is your tool on how to get there, but it does require practice and does require patience. It also requires building the yoga practice into your habit, making a habit out of it. So a couple of tips that I have for you in terms of building your habit. And by the way, there's a ton of books on how to turn something into a habit. I'm not going to go into too much detail about building a habit. You can definitely read up on that. And one book that I definitely do recommend is a book called Atomic Habits. It goes into a lot of detail of how to take an action and build it into a habit. But what I can do here is I can provide some of the tips and guidelines as to how you can take what we just learned and put it into your daily practice. So the first thing that I strongly advise you to do is to schedule your practice and create reminders. We have access to digital devices. We have one in our pocket pretty much all of the time. So open up your calendar app, find a time slot, whether it's in the morning, lunchtime, evening, and physically blocking that half an hour for you and creating a reminder will set your brain, it will activate something in your brain, it will allocate a block of time, it will carve out the time from your busy schedule, and it will be specifically labeled for the yoga practice. So do not underestimate that practice. It's very simple, yet it's very powerful. Block a time and set a reminder. So the next thing that you want to do is you want to schedule your yoga practice in the morning. I personally find that doing hard things in the morning makes a lot of sense. You are very well primed and hopefully full of energy to tackle the hardest things. And it doesn't just apply to yoga, it also applies to the work life. So scheduling your yoga practice in the morning is absolutely key. But that requires one or two things. First of all, you'll need to wake up a little bit earlier, or you will need to adjust your morning routine to squeeze in that block of time that you need for the yoga practice. Or maybe you would need to do two things: adjust your morning routines and shift it to an earlier time. So couple of advices here. So first of all, don't try to boil the ocean at the same time. Wake up 5 minutes earlier for 2 weeks, then add another 5 minutes, then add another 5 minutes, and so on over a period of a few months. And then the next thing you know, in half a year, you will be waking up 30 minutes before your current time, which will give you enough time to build your yoga practice into the morning routine. Now, the other challenge that a lot of people come up with, they will say, well, Kirill, this yoga practice is 30 minutes. I don't have time for it. I only have 5 minutes. Have you heard of a concept of flossing one tooth? No doubt you've been to a dentist, and like myself, you've gotten into a lot of trouble at the dentist for not flossing your teeth. And you would say, well, who has the time to floss their teeth? There's so many teeth in my mouth, and it just takes a while to floss in between every single tooth. Don't have the time. I'm just gonna let it go. And then you go to the dentist, and then they give you shit all over again. So to build a flossing practice, many dentists suggest to floss one tooth. Take a floss, just floss one tooth. Takes, I don't know, 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Do that, go back to sleep. The next day, do the same thing. Just getting into the habit of picking up a floss and flossing the tooth. Maybe after some time, you can floss 2 teeth. And after some time, 3 teeth. And you know where I'm going with that. The same thing can be done with your yoga practice. You don't have to do the whole sequence right away. No, no, no. You can carve out a small section. Maybe it's the breathing exercise in the beginning where we sit cross-legged and we just breathe. Maybe it's the meditation. That's something that appeals to you and you want to do first thing in the morning. Or maybe it's just the standing sequence. Maybe it's just the sun salutations. So pick a small segment of the yoga practice. And that could be your equivalent of flossing one tooth. Something small that doesn't require a lot of time that you can do in the morning. And that's how you would build the habit. But you do have to commit to it. In the morning, come to your mat, do 1, 2, 3 minutes of whatever that is that you choose to do from the yoga sequence, and then move on with your day. And after a while, you can build on top of that. Now, the other thing that you can do is to make a commitment to yourself to do this practice for, I don't know, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And you don't have to do it every day. You can do it every other day. And what's even more important, something that is really going to propel this, is if you can make a commitment not just to yourself, but also to someone else, whether it's your family member or maybe a friend. Make a commitment in front of them so that they can hold you accountable for that. So this way, you have to do it for them and for yourself. Better yet, though, do it with them if that's possible. So putting that commitment in place for a limited period of time, something that's really tangible, not committing to practice yoga for 3 years every day, but maybe practicing yoga every other day for the next 2 weeks. Something that is digestible, something that you can swallow. So make a commitment to that. Now, there's one obstacle that you may run into, especially if you are a perfectionist. There will be times when you will be practicing your yoga, and maybe you've made a commitment to practice every day or maybe every other day, and there will be times when you will miss it because you are busy, maybe something came up, or you just couldn't force yourself to do it. Now, if you are a perfectionist, you will say, well, that's it. My commitment is over. I missed it. I am no good. This is not for me. I have to start from scratch. And then if I have to start from scratch and I have to commit again for 3 weeks or whatever, just doesn't work for me. Therefore, I'm out of here. Well, it doesn't work like that. All you need to do is to just pick up where you left and continue the next day. Just pick up where you left and continue the next day. Remember, your average self, your average best, is not the best thing you do once in a while, but is the average of all of your activities across a long-term line. So if your average is like this, but then you miss a day and your just low point is here, and then you pick up and you continue, then your average is still going to be this one solid line. So keep that in mind, is that your best performance is the average of your performance across time. So pick up where you left off. Don't be a perfectionist. It can be dirty, it can be messy, but as long as you pick up where you leave off and continue with your commitment and your practice, you're going to make it. Now, another powerful method that you can do to facilitate and build the practice of yoga is to keep a journal and write down your experiences as you are practicing yoga. Just take a blank notepad and a piece of pen, keep it near your bed, something that you can have within your arm's reach. And every time you do yoga, or maybe before you do yoga, you can record your experience and your emotions and your feelings and your thoughts about either the upcoming yoga practice, or better yet, how you felt after the yoga practice. Just taking the time to reflect on the yoga practice after you have done it is a powerful, powerful way to build that memory, that muscle memory, just connect that muscle memory that you developed during your yoga practice with your mind. So definitely do not discard the extremely potent practice of journaling. And just I'm inviting you to take that practice and point it at yoga. And then the final tip here is involve somebody else. Doing things by yourself is really, really hard. We may commit to ourselves, we can break our commitments, and we're only responsible to ourselves. But when we are involving somebody else, whether it's a family member, friend, spouse, whoever, and get them to do the practice with us, is a huge, huge help. Go to your local yoga studio. Experience the different classes. Maybe there will be one that you will like, something that will resonate with you. Share this program and course with your friends so that they can learn and go through the program, and maybe you can practice this together next time you get together. Nothing wrong with that. So definitely involve other people in your practice, or join other people in their yoga practice. Yoga is not just about growing spiritually by yourself, it's also connecting with others. And it is a great, great tool to connect and get together with other like-minded people. So definitely explore that aspect. Building a habit of yoga through connecting and practicing yoga with others. The group yoga class is so vastly different than a solo yoga practice. The energy present in that class is absolutely phenomenal, and it can definitely propel you to new heights. And so, before we move on, there's one last thing that we need to do, and that would be the sit and reach flexibility test, which I invite you to do in the following video.